Yeah, eat, sleep, fantasy, you rockin' with the best. NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. We talking mock drafts, running backs, better follow the conversation with
John,
Dale, Christian, and Armando. Screaming Eat Nation, we doing what we like. Tune in every week, guarantee we get it hype. Fantasy, football enthusiasts, I know you plan to be joining us on Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. Yeah, Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. Eat, Sleep, Fantasy.
All right, so welcome to another episode of Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. I'm your host, Armando Crespo, and with me, as always on Sundays, is Clayton Cadu.
what's up? How's things?
Pretty good, man.
Did you practice, practice that intro?
I tried, yeah. In the shower, right before we started, I was like, I'm just going to do this. And I just did it. All right. I used to watch a lot of boxing, so I've been working on that voice.
There you go.
Let's get ready. All right, let's just. Clayton, what's the temperature where you're at now?
It is chilly, man. We got smashed with some weather this weekend. It is currently sitting at 3 degrees here.
Is that American?
No, that's American. That's straight American. That's Fahrenheit.
Okay, okay, cool.
And it feels
cold.
like minus 4 Fahrenheit.
Yeah, it's 48 here in North Carolina, and it's nice and cool. Tomorrow it's going to be 72 to 55, which is just about perfect, if you ask me.
Good on you. Good for you, man.
All right, let's just get this going because we have quite a few games to get through, and I think we're going to start. I don't know why I'm choosing this game, but we're going to start with the Steelers and the Rams. I guess the first thing I want to say is I think it's safe to drop Jared Goff because he sucks.
Yeah, brutal. I don't know what was happening. Yeah, I don't know what the hell was going on in this game. I didn't get a chance to watch this game, but when I looked, I was like, what the hell is happening? Cooper Kupp, not even a single target?
No, it's crazy.
Shocked me.
I think the Steelers, and I strongly feel this, I think the Steelers, if you own them in a fantasy football league, they're going to win you a championship. I think they are right now the best fantasy football and NFL defense right now.
Well, ever since trading for Minkah Fitzpatrick, everybody was shitting on them when it happened, and they're currently 4-0 with him.
Yeah.
With him. So and this defense is rolling right now. So, yeah, I agree with you with that. If you have this Steelers team, any of these players, they're playing well.
Yeah. And I just want to say that their schedule is fantastic. They're all easy games going forward. They play Cleveland twice. I think they play Cincinnati twice. I think they got the Giants and the Redskins coming up on their to finish the season. So I think that if the trade deadline has not passed for your league, I would recommend going out to get them. I didn't start them this week because I thought the Rams were going to show up a little bit, but they did not. So yeah, I am not benching the Steelers rest of the season. So moving on, Todd Gurley went 12 for 73. That's not terrible, but I think his ceiling right now is an RB 2 to 3. He's not very much involved in the passing game either. 4 targets, 0 receptions.
Yeah, and we did see Malcolm Brown back in this one as well. He carried the ball 5 times and wasn't targeted at all. It's just a weird game in general with not seeing Cooper Kupp in this, with any stats whatsoever. Woods did what he does, 7 for 95, and Everett still continues to show that he's startable as a tight end.
Yeah, definitely in PPR formats. 8 for 68 is not bad. I think this is Robert Woods' best game of the season. So with with Brandon Cooks out, I expected Josh Reynolds to have a better game than he did, but I guess it was Robert Woods that absorbed the brunt of it.
Well, I will
on the Steelers side, go ahead.
It's not Woods' best game. He did have a 13-catch, 164 game earlier on in the season. So,
there you go. All right, so second, that's good to know. I said he was droppable 3 days ago on the pod, so I take that back. As long as Cooks is out, Woods is startable. So on the Steelers side, Jalen Samuels continues to suck. I hate to say it like that, but God, 14 for 29 is not good. He was not bailed out in the passing game either. But James Washington, I think, is the biggest guy to note. He has been pretty hot as of recent. 6 for 90 and a touchdown. Last week, he also had a pretty decent game. Is he going to make our waiver wire column?
Yeah, I think he is because, like you said, 2 games in a row. Last week he was 4 for 69. This week again, 6 for 90. It just seems like Rudolph doesn't have a favorite target. I don't think in this offense. It's whoever gets open, that's who's getting the ball. That's what it looks like because I mean a couple weeks ago we saw. I was saying, hey, go jump on Deontay Johnson after his 5 for 84 game and touchdown, and then he's just he went 1 for 3 yards last week, and then he's 4 for 64 this week, right? So I think that's a good thing about Rudolph is he doesn't key on one single guy, right? Everybody's going to get a look in this offense, and if they can get open, they're getting the ball.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think for right now, if they play Thursday night, if James Conner is not suiting up, are you still comfortable starting Jalen Samuel going forward?
Well, I think I'm not confident, but I think you have to play him. You can't sit a guy that's getting 15 touches a game, right? I mean, if you have better options, then obviously, you go elsewhere. But as far as I'm looking at it, and I got Samuels in a few leagues, and it's tough for me to sit him in, especially in one league, because he's getting the touches, right?
Right. No, I agree. It's going to be tough. He's getting touches, he's getting looks, but he's not doing much with it. So they are playing Cleveland. It's a bottom 5 defense against the rush. So we'll see how. Hopefully Connor's back and we don't have to start Jalen Samuels anymore because he's just been a disappointment. But if not, I guess you got to fire him up as a low end RB2, with expectations at least.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's move on to the Panthers and the Packers. This game was actually pretty decent. It was snowing most of the game, but Christian McCaffrey was mostly held in check, 20 for 108 and a touchdown, bailed out. I think DJ Moore is kind of ascending right now. He has 9 for 120 on 11 targets. I think he's more of a high-end wide receiver, too, going forward. I don't know. I think he's going to start getting more looks in the red zone.
Yeah, absolutely. This is back-to-back 100-yard games that he has had with at least 7 receptions. So I think you kind of find – Allen has found that rapport with Moore. I mean, but Samuels is still getting looks as well. But I think right now the guy to own and start on this offense is DJ Moore.
Yeah, Samuel's getting more touchdowns, which is surprising. But yeah, DJ Moore is more reliable, especially in PPR. And finally, Devontae Adams showed up, 7 for 118. I'm pretty happy about that because he was been a major disappointment as of, especially after last week.
We're talking about Adams. What about Aaron Jones? He was a beast this game.
I don't even want to fucking talk about Aaron Jones. I'm so mad about it. I own Aaron Rodgers, and I'm like, come on, man, just give me one touchdown. I was just gonna skip Aaron Jones altogether. Fuck that dude, man.
But yeah, I agree. It is good to see Adams back at least, and it still looks like this backfield. I think you can pretty much start both these running backs every week. I mean, they're both they're splitting carries exactly equal.
Yeah.
I mean, 13 for 63 for Williams isn't bad. You know what I mean? But he didn't find the end zone. But I mean, and if you played them this week, but I think I did play them in our dynasty league. You're getting points regardless. So I think it's safe to say that both.
Yeah, no,
these guys
I don't disagree with you on that one. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think it was kind of interesting. Neither one was actually Williams was targeted once in the passing game, but Adams was not. So I mean, Adam Jones was not.
Adam Jones, Aaron Jones, guy.
That's Aaron Jones. I was thinking about Pac-Man. My bad.
Oh,
God damn it! All right, let's just move on. The Packers destroyed them. The Panthers went all the way down to the 1 yard line, and they could not punch it in with Christian McCaffrey, so they won that game. I really want to talk about the Dolphins and the Colts.
This is ridiculous. I had a buddy of mine that he was actually at the Giants-Jets game. He's on his honeymoon there. And he sends a message today. He's like, am I just extremely hammered, or did the Dolphins really beat the Colts?
The Dolphins really beat the Colts.
Yeah.
It's our defense, man. I'm telling you. Ever since I don't know, our defense sucks balls, but Brian Orr threw three interceptions, and that does not help you win games at all. So yeah, don't roster Brian Hoyer anywhere. He's probably going to get cut after this game if Brissett's healthy.
Yeah, Brissett. Well,
He was,
they were talking about Brissett had a chance to play this week too, right? So I think they took this game as an easy victory, right? You know what I mean? This game's going to game's going to come back and haunt them at the end of the year when it comes to this division.
This is bad. This is
Yeah.
really, really bad. 5-4. Like, I think they got a bye week coming up soon, or this is not good. Kalen Ballage, 20 carries with 43 yards. He's literally the least effective running back in the NFL. He is fucking terrible, but he's the only one getting carries over there. Like,
they don't have,
20, and the next guy too.
Well, they don't have anybody, right? Walton's suspended, so I mean, he's going to have to be the only guy for 3 games now, I guess, right?
Yeah. I mean, as long as we keep winning, you got to keep starting Ballage. You know what I'm saying?
Get him in your lineups.
Yeah, right.
Don't you?
No. I think for the most part, the Colts, this is a throwaway game. Jack Doyle came away with a touchdown. Eric Ebron was targeted 12 times. That is ridiculous. That is a lot, and he's not even that good. That's why they lost the goddamn game.
Well, yeah, if you can't stop Ebron of all people, well, and I mean, it looks like I was laughing at this stat too. If you're looking at this game and standard shitty quarterback, right, just totally relying on your tight ends, like that's it. Both tight ends had 16 targets out of 39 attempts, right? Everybody else was just nobody else did anything in this passing game.
No. Mac was okay. He had 75 yards. I'm getting kind of worried about Mac. He has not been producing the numbers you would expect or would want.
Well, especially
against the Dolphins.
Yeah, especially the Dolphins have been lit up by running backs in the past, like almost every week, right? So to have, I thought I would expect it. I think I ranked them extremely high this week, so that's going to hurt.
Yeah.
But and I mean in this game as well, just to mention, not like it really makes a difference, but Jordan Wilkins left this game with an ankle injury, so we'll have to see what happens there. But I mean, it's going to be Mac and Nyheim Hines is always going to be the pass catching back in this offense. So
yeah, exactly. So let's move on to the Chiefs and the Titans. The Titans stunned the Chiefs. Surprisingly, Ryan Tannehill continues to roll. All aboard the Ryan Tannehill train.
This was crazy.
Derrick Henry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely crazy. I was going to say Derrick Henry went apeshit for 188 and a touchdown, which is awesome to see. This was without Corey Davis back there, and there wasn't really any action on the receiving game. Everyone was pretty subpar overall.
Yeah, Henry rushed more than Tannehill threw.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know how they did this. I don't know. Like, I'm looking at the stats right now. I'm like, how the fuck did they even win this game? Like, 181 yards and 2 touchdowns for Tannehill, and you win? Like,
well, I mean, and it took Henry. Like, I mean, for the most part, KC kept him in check most of the game. I thought he didn't get going until the second half.
No,
I'd really like to actually go through. Like, I probably will do it eventually, but go through this game, and I want to actually go play by play and see, like, when did he start, you know what I mean, producing? Because I remember looking at halftime and I was like, Henry's doing shit. And because Casey's...
Yeah, I think it was like midway through the third quarter that he kind of like, it clicked for him and he just, went off for a 68-yard run, and that's it after that.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I think they were Mahomes he's amazing. This kid's ridiculous. 446 and 3 touchdowns. But apparently, I just read before we jumped on today that the Chiefs brought like 4 different specialists in order to deal with his knee.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So there was like major concern with it, and apparently he's just like an Adrian Peterson guy. Just something hurts him. He just need a couple weeks off, man. I'll be good.
Yeah, good for him. You're fucking crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it was weird to see that LaShawn McCoy looks like he's in the doghouse for a bit. Healthy scratch in this one.
Yeah. Damian Williams did 19 for 75. I guess the handcuff to own is Darrell Williams. Darwin Thompson finally showed up and got a carry for -1 yards. I have so much invested in Darwin Thompson, but Jesus Christ, give a guy a chance, please.
Exactly. And Tyreek Hill went off in this one, 11 for 157 and 1 touchdown. 19 targets for him this one.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a ton. That's got to be the most for a single receiver this year, probably. Hey.
Pretty
19
close, yeah.
targets?
I mean, yeah, I think I saw another receiver with 20 targets, but I can't think of who it is right
Jesus.
now. Yeah, it was. I think it was like Cooper Cup or some stupid shit like that. Like it was crazy. But yeah, I mean, there's not much to talk about as far as the Chiefs go. They have Hill, Kelsey, and McCole Hardman is that breakout guy. He might catch a touchdown, he might not, but that's boomer bust for him.
Great dynasty scoop though. Hardman is.
Oh yeah, for sure. So let's just move on to a more interesting game because this one was not. The Cardinals and the Buccaneers. I want to thank you, Arians, for finally releasing Ronald Jones. He had his best game of his career.
But
11 for 29 and a touchdown.
But it pissed me off because that's what I said. As soon as he, going through even how much he was used in the passing game, targeted 8 times. But then you look at it and they're still splitting the carries.
Yeah,
They both
no,
had
it doesn't make any sense.
It's
I mean,
fucking mental. I don't know.
I mean, Barber was a more effective back in the end, 11 for 43. But, I mean, clearly Ronald Jones knows what the fuck he's doing. He carried the team to the victory on his own. Like, he was the best player on the field.
Yeah, and I mean, Barber ran a 1-yard touchdown in, right? So, big deal. That's the only reason why he was more effective is because of that touchdown that he did score. But, yeah, no, Ronald Jones looked amazing today.
Yeah, he did. Over on, I mean, there's not much more to talk about. Godwin and Evans continue to produce. No touchdowns for them this week. But
Mr. O.J. Howard found the end zone, targeted 7 times.
Finally, dude. Yeah,
I think he's going to be. I think you can. If he was dropped in any league, I think you could scoop him. I think and use him moving forward because this was a game I was kind of curious to see because Arizona's not great against tight ends. So
they're literally the worst team against the tight ends. That was going to be my counter to use. Like, well, he played against the worst team versus tight ends without Cameron Brate. So if he doesn't produce here, like he's not. I mean, he produced enough to make him interesting. But I don't feel comfortable starting.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you do. I think you have to right now because of the fact that they actually won a game finally, right? They won a game, so why not stick doing what you're doing? Move that, don't just rely on those 2 receivers. And I think Arians is starting to realize that, you can't just rely on Evans and Godwin to do everything. You got to incorporate guys like Ronald Jones in the passing game. You got to, use your tight end, just to break that field up so that you're not getting fucking sacked or pressure every 2 seconds. You know what I mean? On every play.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you on that one. I really hope that they do get involved because he's a fantastic receiver.
Let me ask
we'll
you
see
a question.
how this progresses.
Let me ask you a question. So I got in that I'm in a 20-team league, and it's a standard league. I grabbed O.J. Howard this week, started him, so obviously that paid off. Now I have Herndon sitting on the bench. What would you do in that situation? Herndon did shit today.
I mean, I think you got to hold on to Howard in that situation. I mean, until you see something from Herndon. Yeah, I think in that situation when you have scrubs like that, yeah, you stick with Howard for now. Yeah, I think you have to until if the other guy produces at all. Yeah. I don't think he will, but to be honest, Herndon, that team just sucks.
Well, I think that's what I think. It's only a 3 bench spot too, right? So I think I'm just gonna drop him. Well, I'll see how it goes, but I think I'm just going to drop Herndon and I'll roll with Howard. And because I mean, tight end's position is shitty as is, right? So I mean, really, you could put anybody in week to week. This is back-to-back weeks. I've streamed one, and I streamed McDonald last week. He scored. I streamed Howard this week. He scored. So really, not that big of a deal. So, but yeah, sorry to get off topic there.
No, you're fine. I mean, I think streaming tight ends is definitely a viable option, especially when you. I mean, Gerald Everett's viable. Yeah. He's a streaming option against the right. I mean, anyone who's playing Arizona, that's tight end that's available, you want to start them. I mean, yeah, I think streaming tight ends is definitely the way to go most of the time. Over on the Arizona side, Christian Kirk went absolutely crazy, 6 for 138 and 3 touchdowns, which is his best game of his career, I would say. But I think the bigger news is David Johnson looks rough. Yeah. He's not healthy.
Yeah. So what do you do in that case? I don't think you start him anymore until.
No, I mean you bench him. He's bench he's playing San Francisco next week. You bench him. They go on a bye week. That's it.
Do you roll with you? But do you roll with Drake? If you had to make a choice, you needed a running back next week.
Yeah, I roll with Drake.
Just roll with Drake, because obviously Drake was 10 for 35 in this one.
Yeah, and he had more targets in the receiving game. He only went 6 for 6, which is god awful, but he had the targets, so it's I don't think it's close right now. I'm going to start Drake. I don't think the Buccaneers have a fantastic rush defense. That's the one thing they do have on the defensive side. So, but David Johnson looks like he's injured. He should not be playing football right now.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So, yeah, I think you're safe to go with Drake. He's, I would say, an RB2, especially against San Francisco, a low-end RB2, so I have expectations for that. But, yeah, I think it's safe to say that you don't start David Johnson until he's 100% after the bye week. And even then, we have to wait and see. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the Giants and the Jets. This turned into a goddamn shootout. Yeah. Daniel Jones saved my week this week with 4 touchdowns, 2 to Tate, 2 to Slayton.
Slayton, I think, moving forward is a must-add.
Yeah.
Well, this is back-to-back weeks. Like as long as Sterling Shepard's out, not back-to-back weeks, but 2 out of 3 weeks he scored 2 touchdowns. This was his best game of the year, and he's being used. I used him in FanDuel this week. And I actually picked him up in a bunch of leagues, and I needed a receiver to start him, and it paid off big time. And I think you do. If Sterling Shepard's still out, I think you have to add him and don't be afraid to start him.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. He has been on fire. 14 targets is a shit ton. Jesus Christ. Rhea Ellison actually started this week for Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram has a foot injury. I don't know when we should expect him back. So, I mean, if you're someone like Clayton and looking to stream tight ends, I think Rhea Ellison is a good guy to not necessarily get off the waiver wire.
Rhett Ellison.
Rhett Ellison. How do you know that?
I just know it. You look at it, man. Rhett.
Fuck the English language, man. Fuck it. That's how I feel. Saquon Barkley is actually getting x-rays on his knee, which is a little worrisome, but they are on a bye week, so I think as of right now you should expect him to play after the bye. You're saved by that one for sure.
He didn't look at 13 carries for 1 yard. I have him in quite a few leagues, and it was a close matchup, and I think I'm going to lose because of this performance. So. But yeah, hopefully his knee's
rough.
Good. I mean, you'll never see a stat like this out of him ever again. So,
I mean, last week was almost just as bad, bro. Like it's not. He's not been good 2 weeks in a row.
What do you mean, man? He was 14 for 28. Not good. You're right. So yeah, he's still banged up, and I think the problem is I think they're just not like the Giants are terrible. Like, why don't you just get your franchise player healthy? And if he doesn't play for 5-6 weeks, he doesn't play for 5-6 weeks. Who cares? You're not winning anything. You're not going anywhere in playoffs.
No,
you know?
I don't disagree with you on that. I don't want them to bench Saquon Barkley. I traded my first, second, and third for him in a league.
Yeah, neither do I, but I'm just saying
I need him.
Screw the fantasy aspect. If you're looking at it as a legit GM, you're saying, like, why are these guys running him out there, right?
No, I agree. And, I mean, they're not going to win a football game if they're only running literally the best running back in the NFL 13 times. Yeah. Like, you need to give him the goddamn ball at least 25 times in a game like this. Like, slow the game down. That's how you win it. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating. So on the Jets side, we talked a lot about the Giants. Le'Veon Bell continues to look a little rough. Yeah, I think I'm getting close to. I mean, he's getting bailed out by these touchdowns, but man, I'm getting close to benching him. I have Leonard Fournette, Mark Ingram, and Le'Veon Bell. Would you bench Le'Veon Bell going forward?
Yes.
He has some good matchups. He plays Washington next week.
Good matchups, but he can't do anything with the opportunities that he's having. You're carrying the ball 18 times for 34 yards, and that's it. That's brutal. He's only had He's had 4 out of 10 weeks that he's had 4 games that he's had over 60 yards. That's it.
Yeah,
everything else is
it's rough.
Yeah. And I mean, only 2 touchdowns on the year anyways, so I think he's definitely benchable.
Yeah, especially if you're in a situation like that where you have, 3, high upside running backs. I think Le'Veon Bell is definitely a fringe RB2-ish with a little bit of upside with the touchdowns to bail you out. So on the receiving game, Jamison Crowder looks great. Demaryius Thomas, 6 for 84. It's his first game, I think, over 60 yards.
No, he's had a few games of over 60 actually. He actually, going back to like week 4, he started. He had 62. Every other game he has over 60 yards.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Jeez, I just dropped him in a PPR league. I was like, I don't need this motherfucker.
Yeah, no, yeah, but he's getting the receptions too. I mean, this is 6 out of the last 8 games he's had at least 4 receptions. So he's being used in this offense.
Okay. Well, there you go. So is he startable? He's almost startable, right?
Yeah,
that's not terrible.
Out of these receivers, I think you can. It's safe to say you could drop Robbie Anderson. He didn't do shit again this week. 1 for 11. I think Crowder and Thomas are the receivers to own on this on this offense.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that one. Let's move on. Oh wait, yes, Herdon did not do anything at all, and neither did Griffin. So that kind of sucks. And they scored a lot of points, so that's kind of sad to see. Atlanta shocked the New Orleans Saints 26-9. Devontae Freeman did leave this game with an injury. Brian Hill is the handcuff because Ito Smith did go on IR earlier this week.
And
I can't believe they lost.
Brian Hill looked good, 20 carries for 61 yards. He's definitely 100% the top waiver ad this week.
Yeah. I mean, he only had 2 targets, but Devontae Freeman had 4, so you imagine Brian Hill will absorb that. Kenyon Barner is the other running back, and Olesen, is that right? Oleson is another running back they have on the roster, but I think Brian Hill is going to be the one.
Yeah, I think Olesen, has been a healthy scratch. I don't even think he's seen the field this year.
No, he hasn't. I think he got like a 1 carry a couple weeks ago. I saw his name floating. I drafted him in a couple dynasty leagues for hope. But
and I just wanted to point out Young Hoo Koo. He's a pretty good kicker.
Yeah, poor guy. Poor guy. He just signed with the roster just now. He should have been on someone's team.
To say his name.
You said his name right.
Young Hoku.
I'm not going to say it. I'm going to fucking avoid that name.
But yeah, so Brian Hill's a must-add in this one, or top waiver ad this week for sure. And Ryan actually distributed the ball fairly well this week. Yeah,
he did. I mean, Julio Jones did have the most targets, but only 3 for 79 for Julio Jones, which is kind of disappointing. We'll see how this progresses. I mean, like we talked about this before. Since Sanu left, who was going to absorb a lot of those targets, and it looks like it was Gage, like we kind of predicted.
Yeah, I think he's.
I don't know if
he's an ad yet, but that's back-to-back games where he's 7 receptions last week, 4 this week. So I think he is, like you said, that guy that's taken over that Sanu. The Sanu's looks in this offense.
Yeah, so Drew Brees looked pretty subpar against the Falcons. Everyone expected him to have a huge game. He was in my top 5 in ranks. Alvin Kamara did not look great. 8 for 58 receiving, nothing in the run game. Michael Thomas continues to be the best receiver in the game. 13 for 152.
Well, you can throw all over Atlanta. That's a thing, right? So, but it shocked me that they couldn't put any more points. Like Atlanta's defense looked great.
Yeah.
This one, so.
Yeah. They had. I mean, I had them predicted to be like a top 10 defense. They had the pieces at least to be decent, but they just did not get it together before their season fell apart.
And injuries kicked the shit out of them again this year. So
that's how it goes. So let's move on to the Cleveland Browns and the Buffalo Bills.
The amount of targets that we saw Jared Cook get in this offense. 10 targets, 6 for 74. So if he was dropped, he could be a potential ad. And the guy that's scoring touchdowns in this game tonight, Kyle Rudolph, with his 2nd touchdown.
I was gonna click on it, see what was going on. It's 14-0. That's not pretty.
Kyle Rudolph, 2 touchdowns, ridiculous.
Yeah, he's that's what he does, just touchdowns.
Exactly.
So let's move on. This is kind of an interesting game because there's a lot of I think fantasy noise going on over here. The Browns versus the Bills. This is Kareem Hunt's return to football. He had 4 carries for 30 yards, but he made the most noise in the receiving game. You think he's available in any leagues right now?
I don't think he is, because I think when I was looking at waiver ads for this week, I think he was well over like in I think he was like 80% owned, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I can check it out real quick if you want to talk.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Yeah, he went 7 for 44. In PPR formats, that is dangerous. It was against the Bills, who have a really good defense. Jarvis Landry continues to light it up, 9 for 97. He is the Odell Beckham of the Cleveland Browns. Like, he is their best receiver. Not even close.
Yeah, sorry. Hunt is owned in 71% of Yahoo leagues, so I mean, there's a few leagues that he's definitely available in. None of my leagues is he. So.
Yeah, I think we could easily say that Kareem Hunt is the best handcuff in the NFL with value to stand alone. Like, he got 9 targets in this game. Chubb still got 4, but the fact that he's involved that much in the passing game is really nice to see, especially in PPR, full PPR. He is definitely going to be something to reckon with going forward.
Agreed.
So the Bills, Josh Allen got 2 touchdowns on the ground. Singletary out. Carried Gore again, 8 for 42. God, he's good, man. Like, get him fucking 20 carries a game. Yeah. What are you guys doing?
Well, and I don't understand. This is if just unleash him like Arians did to Jones last week. He carried the ball 20 times for 95 yards and a touchdown. Why can't you do that back-to-back weeks, right? Especially against a Cleveland Browns team that's not the greatest against not the greatest run defense, you know.
Not at all. Whatever. They're 6-3. They're whatever. They're not very good. John Brown 5 for 77 and Cole Beasley 4 for 74. I think they are the only 2 receivers, and I think really the only 2 players besides Josh Allen that you can really rely on week in and week out until Singletary gets more work consistently. Those are the only 2 guys you could feel good starting. John Brown's like a wide receiver 2. Cole Beasley, flex play at best.
Yeah, and don't buy into this Dawson Knox 4 for 55 stuff, guy. He's been, I mean, I've bought into it. I chase those numbers like almost every week since I do stream sessions, and this just happened to be a game that he did something. So as far as he's concerned, I wouldn't touch anybody on this offense except for, like you pointed out, Brown and Beasley.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and move on to the Ravens and the Bengals. I think this was Finley's first game as a starter. Joe Mixon looks good. Right off the bye, he had 30.
Bernard did leave this game, though, too. So, I mean, that just opened the door for more touches for him.
That's true.
I mean, it's not
but against the Ravens, they don't have a great... Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so it's not... I mean, it's not like Bernard was being used, a whole shit ton. But as far as this game goes, he did leave this game, and that showed you... That's why you could see Mixon with 30 rushing attempts.
Yeah. Even a game that they were getting demolished in, he still got 30 carries for 114 yards. I think it's the first time he broke 100 in the season. On the Ravens side, we really don't need to talk about. The Ravens just destroyed him. The defense was great. Lamar Jackson was fantastic.
Like, he's like one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch now.
Yeah. He's right now the number 1 running quarterback in the NFL in fantasy football world, at least. Maybe not in the NFL, but
but just look at, like, even that touchdown, that running touchdown. He's explosive. He's exciting to watch.
Yeah, just like Cam Newton was a while back, and then he's gonna have a short career because of that.
Exactly.
Poor guy. So let's move on to the Chicago Bears and Detroit. We don't have a lot to talk about the Ravens. They demolished them. Sorry, let's just move on from that one. The Bears and the Lions. The Trubisky learned how to play football again. Like, fuck this guy. 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, but look how many times he threw the ball. 23 times. That's all you have to do, though, right? That's I guess if he just needs to throw the ball 20 plus times a game and they win games, I guess that's all you need to do, right? He did exactly what the game plan was. Like, let's keep the ball on the ground. I mean, you saw Montgomery with 17 carries and just throw limited, and then it just happened to be that he was, connected for those 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Montgomery had a disappointing game, but it continues to be his backfield. He is a workhorse running back, which is awesome to see. Allen Robinson continues to be the number 1 wide receiver. He did not get the touchdown, but he is getting the targets and the yards. So continue to roll him out as a high-end wide receiver too.
I'm curious now, is Cohen, is he an every week flex play at least with the release of Mike Davis?
Yeah. I mean, Mike Davis wasn't doing anything for the past like 6 weeks, anyways.
But he was still getting a few carries, right? You know what I mean? So he wasn't getting. Now Cohen's the legit backup to Montgomery. So
yeah, and he's also the pass catching back, 4 for 23 and touchdown. So yeah, I mean, flex play with limited upside. I mean, you can expect him to put up wide receiver 3 numbers type thing. Yeah, if you need it, go for it.
You got to think too, like these bye weeks are coming up to we got 1 more week or 2 more weeks of byes.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big one. Yeah, 2 more, I think.
Yeah. So
11 and 12.
Yeah. So yeah,
these next 2 are the biggest.
Yeah. So you're not. Yeah. I mean, in those ones, when you have teams like 6 teams on bye and all that stuff, you're pretty much you got to look at guys like that as at least a flex play.
Yeah. Don't disagree with you for the most part. I think that after bye weeks, I think he's droppable unless something happens to Dave Montgomery. Ty Johnson left this game with a concussion, which really sucks. Man, the Lions are just having a rough season. They should have won 2 of the games that they lost. Now they lost Stafford with the back injury.
Broken bones in his back, I read.
Yeah, that sucks, dude. His career is going to end soon. He's going to be the next Andrew Luck, man.
Yeah, but I got to say, Jeff Driscoll didn't look that bad. I mean, he did throw the ball 46 times. They did lose to Chicago, but I mean, 269, 1 passing touchdown. He showed that he's mobile, 5 for 37 on the ground, led this backfield in rushing yards. So, I mean, I think I have Stafford in the league, and it's a 2 quarterback league. So I ended up, as soon as I found out he was out, I threw Driscoll in. I mean, he got me in this crazy scoring league that we have. I think he had me over 20 points in this one. So.
Jesus, that is some wonky scoring, man.
I'm telling you, if you saw this scoring, I'll screenshot it to you and I'll send it to you, and you'll be like, "What the?" It's insane.
It's you get points per carry plus yardage,
everything. Actually, for the longest time, New England's defense was leading the league in fantasy points.
Gee, I mean that's a lot of leagues right now. They're top 12 in scoring, so it's not too crazy. So moving on, J.D. McKissick is the next guy up, and Paul Perkins. So if Ty Johnson ends up missing any time, those are the 2 guys up. I don't feel comfortable.
I think they'll be bringing Ajayi back in for another visit. I think they have to add a veteran guy to this backfield. You're not going to be able to win games with McKissick and Perkins behind. Nobody's scared of them. No. You know what I mean? They're just going to stack.
No,
they won't even stack the box. They'll just play normal because they know that these guys can't run the ball.
Yeah, they're not good.
And I still think with Driscoll, I don't think it's bad to say to at first people were saying to move Golladay down and Jones down. I mean they put up decent numbers, so I still think you can start them.
Yeah, and Hawkinson was targeted 6 times. He had 3 for 47 with it, so that's not terrible. He's still a viable tight end 2 at best.
Agreed.
So Danny Amendola had a mediocre game. Everyone expected some better stuff from him, but he did not produce. Let's do the Thursday night game. I think that's going to wrap us up for the most part. The Raiders, I feel like they shocked the Chargers. Pretty disappointing. But the biggest news is Melvin Gordon is back.
Yeah.
22 for 108 and a touchdown. So
he looked good in that.
That's good to see, man. I love that guy.
Like Phillip Rivers, if you have him, go get a different quarterback. He's brutal. He's just shit.
He's been killing them.
3 interceptions. Yeah. I mean, yes, the O-line obviously was sacked 5 times in this one. And people are was all over Twitter the Raiders are they're legit contenders. They're, their defense is stacked. They didn't need Mac. Come on, man. This O-line is
Get that
shit.
shit out of here. People said that?
Yeah. And I
That's
mean,
craziness.
obviously Raiders fans, right? But, I mean, you can there's no way. I mean, I could go. I haven't never played a down of football. I could go in there. I could, at least get some pressure on Rivers with this O-line.
Yeah, I believe that. You're a big dude.
Tall,
Keenan Allen continues.
Tall.
No, I meant tall. I didn't mean like you're fat. I'm sorry.
Right,
no,
okay, cool.
I'm sorry. Don't be mad at me. All right, my bad. So Keenan Allen continues to get plenty of targets and receptions, but not a lot of touchdowns. 8 for 68. Hunter Renfrow, I think, is the biggest guy we could talk about. 5. He's their number 1 wide receiver right now, which he's a rookie.
He's been putting up numbers the last 3 out of 4 weeks. He's been targeted at least 4 times. He's had at least 4 receptions over. I mean, outside of this game, 42 yards, but he's had, this is 2 out of 3 weeks he scored. He didn't score in this one, but he's very productive. I did write him up in our waiver article, so hopefully people took my advice and scooped him where they could.
Yeah, he should be good to go the rest of the way as a wide receiver 2-3 maybe going forward.
Yeah, that's I believe
with
I said.
upside.
I think I said he would wide receiver 2 or 3. What about Waller? Are you concerned about Darren Waller at all?
I mean, he's 2 weeks removed from having a good game. He's still getting the targets. I'm not terribly concerned. I'm a little bit concerned. He's a tight end. He was producing as a top 5 tight end. I think he's settling in as a tight end, 7 to 12?
Yeah, I think he's going to still have his games, but it's not one of those for sure's anymore. You kind of got to look at who they're playing now and how their defense does perform against tight ends. In my opinion, I think there is guys out there right now that are better. I mean, that you could probably have a better matchup. Put it that way.
Yeah. I like Sanu, not Sanu, Jonnu. Is that his name? Jonnu Smith. Yeah, I like Jonnu Smith a little more when as long as Walker's out, I'd rather have him. I mean, they're producing similar numbers, but I think that he's going to be more involved. But yeah, I kind of agree with you for the most part. I mean, it's going to be hard to find someone better than Waller with that upside. He has the potential to produce, 10 for 124 and a touchdown. Like that's his ceiling. There aren't a lot of tight ends that have that ceiling on the waiver wire.
Exactly.
So I think that's going to do it for us. Hold on. My cat is playing with her cat toy. They're worse than yours.
These cats, I'm telling you, they're just bad for when you're trying to do a podcast.
Yeah, and I think it's going to do it for us. I hope you guys all started Kyle Rudolph this week. He has 2 touchdowns so far, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, and
all right, guys.
Cook's, he's still having a game. He's got what?
3 for 69.
Jesus. Yeah, he's got no, I'm reading something off. Does it say he has 68 yards receiving already? No.
Yeah, that's what he has. 69 yards receiving.
69 yards and 28. Jesus, nice.
Yeah, he's killing it, man.
Oh, good.
Yeah, good on him. All right. People are going to be listening to this tomorrow after the game, and they're going to be like, this fucking dumbasses.
Oh, well. At least they have, hey, we just got them to listen all the way to the end, right? So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, there you go, right? Hopefully they got this far. All right, everyone, have a great drive to work. Maybe if you work. If you don't, get a job. Okay, good.
All right, take care, guys.
Yeah. Eat, sleep, fantasy, you rockin' with the best. NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. We talking mock drafts, running backs, better follow the conversation with John, Dale, Christian, and Armando. Screaming Eat Nation, we doing what we like. Tune in every week, guarantee we get it hype. Fantasy football enthusiasts, I know you plan to be joining us on Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. Yeah, Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. Eat, Sleep, Fantasy.